I want to do a brief tutorial on Staffpad. I have a iPad Pro with a Apple Pencil, which you'll need if you have an iPad Pro. This is a great app to write down your musical ideas. I don't use it to write big scores. I just use it to write small sections of music, maybe about, 16 to 24 measures. So this is how you get started with it. Once you open it, and I'm going to give some tips and tricks and some things that I do to make life easier. So first thing you do is you create a new score, and you tap on the screen and you add an instrument. So I'm going to add keys. I'm going to add piano, a single staff, and I'm going to add piano with the two staffs. And I want the single staff on top so you can move these around and switch them around. So now I have my score is set up. So it's pretty simple, easy to use app. And I'm going to try and go fast because I don't like to make long videos. But this is for writing music, and you write it as if you're writing on a piece of paper. So the reason why I put a single piano staff on top, I use that as my work staff. Sometimes I'll work out an idea in that staff and then copy and paste it into the piano staff, the two staffs. So entering notes is pretty simple. Like if you're going to enter 4 quarter notes, and this is going to be in the key of C. So if you want to change keys, for instance, you just hold down your finger on the measure and you get all these choices. So, but we're going to keep it in the key of C for right now. And just tap out of that and it'll close that window. So let's start simple. We're gonna draw a whole note. So we draw a whole note and I tap at the top of the screen and it turns it into a printed whole note. So if I want to do half notes, so I just draw half notes and tap at the top of the screen and I get 2 half notes. If I want to do quarter notes, it's pretty simple. Tap at the top of the screen and I got my quarter notes. Now the neat thing about this, and these are going to be some tips and tricks that I've discovered to make life easier with this, is you can move the notes around. Like say you want to make this go down to a C, this to an F, and this to a B, and this to a D. You can move the notes up and down with your pencil. Now, if you want to draw a chord, it's pretty simple. You draw the notes, and then let's say I'm going to do an F chord, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to tap at the top of the screen. Now it didn't take it correctly, but I can move this note up and make it an F chord. So you could also, here's another tip. Like let's say I want to do a G chord. Here's a tip. You draw it up here. We'll do the same thing and do quarter notes. But if I want to drag it down, I could either drag it down one by one and make a G chord down here, or I believe you can use the Lasso tool and grab them all at once and bring them all down at once. And then to close the Lasso tool, you hit this dotted square here and it deselects that. So to draw a rest, to draw a quarter note rest, you can do an S and it becomes a quarter note rest. Okay, so let's just say, I try to think in terms of the whole measure. So let's just say I know that I want 4/8 notes, followed by 2 quarter notes. Or let's just say I want now here's another tip. Let's just say I want 16th notes. It's easier for me to draw four eighth notes and then draw the second line to make it a 16th notes. If I try to draw the 16th notes separately, there's a lot of problems doing it that way for me. So now let's just say I want 2/8 notes. And then I want, now you can move the measure line to make space. So let's just say I want a quarter note and then 2 more eighth notes. And there's my measure. Now, of course, I can move the notes around. You know, I can move it. Now, if I put something there, I could always erase. You erase by pressing down slightly with the pen and it'll erase any markings. The reason why I tap up here is because of, let's say I put a whole note there and I tap here, sometimes it'll leave a mark here. So I want to keep my score as clean as possible. I don't want marks up around here. If I tap up here, it won't leave a mark. So you can erase these. So those are just some tips on entering notes. So in part 2 of Staffpad, we're going to get into more of the features and a little bit more complicated music. So we'll see you next time.